Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. Hope you enjoy this update. Thank you very much for watching. Hope everybody's had a good week. We're having a good week here at the minute. You can see it's very frosty here behind me. We're managing to get the last of our Heavyland Beet up. We've got the RX, the 8RX in the background dragging as well, so that will feature in the update, which you'll see shortly. We're also looking at our countryside stewardship scheme. We've just gone into a new scheme, and I've got Jim Egan from King's Crops here helping me with that, so we'll take a few minutes look at that. Also loading some more wheat out the ground, some more wheat out the shed. We've got some wheat gone our way this week that was sold a while ago, so quite a bit gone on. So one or two other things as well, feeding the pheasants and the wildlife. Just got a pheasant actually just popped out in front of me. So without any more from me, let's crack on with this week's update. Hope you enjoy it. Please click like, subscribe and the bell icon, and you'll see the RX here running a bit closer up, the Beet machine over my other shoulder somewhere across there, and hope you enjoy it, and let's crack on.
Oh yeah, there's a couple more things that's on. We're doing some hedge cutting. A local contractor we use, Fen Farm Pest Control, doing some more hedge cutting for us on the frost. And also I was on GB News a few days ago talking about food security and the importance of homegrown food. So I'll put that clip on as well. It's great that they give us the voice to air our views, farmers' views. So that's great. So I'll put that on. Anyway, enough from me now. Let's get on with this week's update.
Shocking levels of red tape, needless government intervention. You know the land. Why don't we just let you crack on and farm the thing?
Well, I wish that would be the case, but the government don't seem to want to do that. They have so many advisors, Chris Packham, George Monbiot, the Goldsmiths. They listen more to those sort of people who sit behind the desk and advise the government on how we should be farming and produce the food than us on the ground doing it. And you cannot believe the stress that we all have to go through in the countryside and the red tape. This is the other thing, Patrick. When Brexit came along, that's one of the major issues of where we are today. When Brexit came along, they said, oh, we'll be okay. You as a farmer, you'll have a lot less red tape than you've had in the past. Absolute rubbish. We've far more red tape. We've far more hoops to jump through. And we're getting far more problems, complicated.
Could that be thwarted? Yeah, can I ask you about that? Is that a bit of a choice, an incorrect choice by our government? So as a result of Brexit, could we have a lot less red tape? It's just the fact that that hasn't materialised.
Well, I'd like to think so, because that was one of the promises that we were told with Brexit. I voted to remain, so I'm a Remainer, and I didn't enjoy the afterthoughts of all what was going to happen. And we were told that, yes, because we're now out of Europe, the shackles have been released and we'll be able to set our own standards, our own policies, and you'll be able to farm and produce food in a way that will be much more better for you, and you'll be able to remain profitable, which is a big thing.
Well, I don't see why we can't do that. I mean, the idea that all of a sudden, as virtue of us not being in the European Union, that our health standards and food quality standards are going to drop just for no reason whatsoever, just because we could. I mean, it's bonkers. I mean, we've been surviving off the things that British farmers have been growing or looking after or slaughtering or whatever for years, for generations, for hundreds of years, thousands of years probably, if you really take it back to its natural conclusion. Why would any of that change now? And I can't help but think that I personally don't believe we've made the most of Brexit. I did vote for Brexit, but and it's stuff like this. Why should we be kowtowed in this particular area to, oh, well, our standards don't technically align to the European? I don't give a toss about a wonky banana. I just don't care. No. Give me the most bizarre-looking parsnip in the world and I'll eat it, Andrew, should we have a bit more faith with people like you?
And this is the problem we've got, that Lincolnshire provides around 27% of the vegetables for the whole of the country. Yet because of the government visa policy stopping foreigners coming into this country, we have got vegetables 10 miles from here rotting in the fields because there aren't enough pickers to pick the vegetables. We've tried UK workers, and British people don't want the hard work. And they say another thing we get labelled at us and told we're wrong is that we rely on cheap foreign labour. That is wrong, because the money that these guys earn and ladies earn when they come from abroad, they earn really, really good money. And that's why they come, because they then send all the money back to abroad, back in their countries to help their family.
This is the heathland on the light sandy soils. Time to get the hedges and the roadsides trimmed. If we don't trim these roadsides, we get a lot of suckers coming out, and this hedge here would be as wide as this roadside if we don't keep them trimmed. So until we get a hedge cutter sorted, and we might not bother, got Fen Farm Pest Control here doing the hedges. Got Jonathan on it this time instead of Jason.
just doing the verges, and then we'll get the hedges done. We've got the hedges on this side to do as well, and this verge. Just see this signpost, a real nuisance. Really handy having it on the front linkage. Means the grass is cut before the wheels get to it. So there we've got the cover crop in this field. You see there, and a heap of sewage sludge there to spread as well. This field's coming sugar beet, so that's going to have a huge amount of goodness in there with the sheep droppings and wee and sewage sludge as well. And you can see these hedges are really good. Some of these hedges were replanted about 20 years ago on a council scheme. That was the same, that was replanted. We straightened a lot of fields out and replanted a lot of hedges. You can see down there, nice hedge. And then that's obviously where the hare courses run in the middle of the field in the night about 3 weeks ago. 3 deer just running across the middle of the field. Nala hasn't seen them. Incidentally, it's what day was today? Tuesday, 6th of December, and Nala is 10 months old today. Amazing when you think when first got her, she was the same size as little Frankie. And now look at her. Can't believe she's only 10 months old when you look at the size of her. That wheat's looking well after beans. So this is how it started. Born 10 months ago today. She arrived here in Lincolnshire on April the 8th. And this is how it's going. A very lovely natured dog. Come on in. You can see in the background we've got the fly tipping heap, and I've got Emma and Paul from local ITV News doing a feature on this, which is great to have this featured on the main news, because the problem we've got here is just so big in the countryside, and these sorts of things need highlighting that the general public can see what's going on. So it's great that Emma has come, and Paul the cameraman, who I know, Paul's from Lincoln actually, and Emma lives not far away as well, so it's great that they're involved in this. So thank you very much for coming, but everybody can see here what the problem is. We've got some more wheat going out this morning. It's Wednesday morning, real sharp frost, first hard frost of the winter this year, and more to come this week. We've got 2 lots for December going to this local company. One lot was sold in February this year at £220 a tonne, and another lot was sold in May 2021 for £170 a tonne, I think it was. So I'm not quite sure which this contract is, but I think they're all going together. So yeah, it just shows how varying the grain markets are. So May 21, so what's that, 18 months ago, a bit more than that, and it was 170, that's where the market prices are. Then it went up to 350 in May this year, and then it's dropped now, and I don't know what it is today. I haven't sold any for a while. It's about 240, I think, maybe even a touch lower maybe now. But on the day when I did this at 170, and it was the right thing to do. Only wants 1 and a bit tons. Just go there. See that going up? What do we want? 29?
29,100.
29,100.
Lovely.
We'll pop it on the weighbridge, sample it. Thank you. You can see the value of these blue barrel feeders we now put out. The wildlife that finds them. Look at the pheasants under that one. Lovely quiet spot. Grass margins around as well. So just perfect for attracting and helping all the wildlife. Nala can see them, And this one out here in front of us. Nala. Yes. Yes, you can see that one. Obviously the pheasants are just wandering out my way, but they'll be back as soon as I leave. There's one coming back here actually. See if I can wait and see him actually at the feeder. Yep, he's still coming. If I sit quiet enough, he should come. The benefits of feeding and helping the wildlife and providing habitat with the grass margins, being so close to wildlife like this, such a privilege. And for those of you not sure, these are cock pheasants. See pools of water stood on any fields, even in the corners, but this one is a continual problem. So I think this next year, before next autumn, we'll have to pop a drain here and pop one into this dike that's near us just here. It's always wet, and pop one just through here into this dike and fill it with stone. Fill the drain right to the top with stone, put it through here, and it'll cure that. Just hate seeing him. You see, the field next door there hasn't got it, and it's not been treated any different cultivation wise to this one, so it just needs sorting, and out there as well. I've got a friend of mine here, Richard, who I've known a few years, Ellie from FieldView, and Peter, cameraman. What have we been doing this morning?
Well, we've been talking about benchmarking. We've been talking about the importance of...
Hang on, stop. We've just moved because the sun is really strong. So, Richard, what have we been doing this morning?
Well, we've been talking about the importance of benchmarking and attention to detail and trials data on your own land, and also how FieldView helps you in that process as a farmer.
So FieldView, for those viewers who are not quite sure what it is, and for non-farming people who watch this channel, FieldView is a system for monitoring yield. You can also put it on your sprayer. You can look at variable rate seeding, variable rate application. It's really a plug and play system that has been developed by Bayer, and it's run in America a lot, isn't it? Well, that's where it originates from.
That's where it originated from, yes.
Yeah, so it's been in America quite a few years. I've been using it about 4 years now. There's me and two other farms started to use it. And you've seen when we had our direct drilling day, when we combined the direct drilling plots, if you look back at my live videos, the number video that you need to look at update is this one. And when you look at that, you'll see we did some live updates, and you'll actually see the FieldView system in operation from the combine cab. Hugely powerful system. And you're going around a few growers looking at this?
Yeah, we're going to be talking to 7 growers, how they're using FieldView. You're all doing slightly different things with FieldView, whether it be trials or evaluating data, even using it to plan harvest schedules with the real-time data. So yeah, 7 videos covering 7 different subjects, but the common link through all of them is FieldView.
And then where are these going to be viewed, or where they're going to go to?
We haven't quite decided yet, Andy, but they'll certainly be online, and possibly at things like cereals or crop tech. I think there's a lot of important information in there. I think it'd be useful for other farmers to see it. There's a lot of different platforms out there, but as you said, FieldView is a very valuable and powerful tool. It really does give you insight into what's going on the farm, and particularly, trials and that sort of information.
Yeah. So, well, I'll keep you informed on where it's going to be released and where you can see it. But just up to now, if you want to have a look at how it operates and how we use it, just click those live combine updates that I mentioned a minute ago, and you'll be able to see it in operation. So thank you very much, guys, for everybody for coming.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for having us on farm.
Pleasure. It's Thursday morning, and got a real hard frost this morning, -4 at the minute. Got Jonathan here just finishing off the hedges up on the heath on our sandy soil. We've just got one hedge on a sugar beet field, on a field that was sugar beet. We got it drilled quick before the rain came about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and we didn't have a chance to get the hedge cut. So I'm going to ask them in a minute to go down there on the frost. It'll be fine, it'll carry the tractor fine. A lot of these hedges here were replanted about 20 years ago, and that's why they're in real good shape. They were really gappy because we used to plough too close to the hedges and plough the roots out. And a lot of hedges, internal ones and some roadside ones, we
we replanted them. Same as that one down there. You can see these hedges here has done a really good job. Got some of the tyres that Ollie got me into, concrete tyres, blocking gateways off. Yeah, you can see he's done a real good job there on this roadside hedge. Down there, both sides. Done a really neat and tidy job. I've just arrived at dog training classes near me. They're every Thursday. I haven't been able to make every one with Nala, but she's doing really well. And hopefully in another couple of weeks she'll be able to do a bronze test apparently. So that'll be good. She's getting on really, really well.
Turn to put them on the inside. Don't turn into the circle. Turn them away. You say so they're now. You lost in because you turned.
So this is the place just near Sleaford, and it's great because Nala meets other dogs as well. And she's done a puppy training class a few months ago, and now she's in a bit more adult class, but she's really good, and the other dogs in the class are a lot older than her, but it's really good getting used to other dogs. So it's Thursday, lunchtime, just about 2 o'clock. We've just started lifting this last sugar beet of ours on the heavy ground, and we'll have a look at the machine in the trailer and pushing up, but we've got frost at the minute, which is good for it. But just looking at this headland here, there's only been one trailer across there, maybe two, and it's just starting to rut it. So I know it won't be good when we finish, but we need to make use of this frost as much as we can, and then get the beet on the concrete. Probably leave it there maybe a good 2 weeks to dry out, because there will be quite a lot of soil in the heap. So we need to heap the sugar beet up as much as we can. You can maybe just see if I can keep the sun out. There we are, and we can just see there we've got the heap just starting to develop there behind us. So we've got trailer just rolled up. So yeah, we'll push that up really high, let it heat up a little bit to dry the soil out, and then get it into the factory. But yeah, this field won't be pretty, I know, when we finish with it, but it'll become a spring crop of some sort. Nala and Frankie, they love eating sugar beet. Yeah, so we'll it won't be pretty, this field, but coming a spring crop. I haven't decided which yet, but we'll get it dragged in a frost hopefully the next day or two, and maybe do it again next week if we get some frost. But the solo won't run, we think, but we'll see what it's like tomorrow. Yeah, we use this blade for pushing up the sugar beet. It's a grain blade, but we use it for sugar beet. Obviously wash it and sterilise it for grain, but it just means we can get the beet a bit higher. But yeah, just looking at the heap, there is a lot of soil in it, which I thought there would be. You can just see amongst there and there amongst the sugar beet, there's the soil all throughout the heap. So it is going to need to dry out quite a lot. And you can see all the sugar beet itself's even got soil stuck to it. When you see there, look at that. That's just your typical type of soil. So that's all got to dry, because that won't, if we took this in the factory now, there would be hardly any of this soil would come out. It'd all go in the factory. So it needs to dry before we can take it in the factory. So here we are, got another trailer bringing the load to the concrete, to the pad. But this is the benefit of having the concrete here and not tipping the sugar beet on the field. Plenty of room here, and this is one of the beet pads we extended about 2 or 3 years ago, and put concrete panels around the outside, you can see there, and we extended this concrete just here. It cost us about, I think, £23,000. That was 3 years ago we extended it. Obviously the price of concrete it'd be more now.
Yeah, these trailers tip a lot higher than standard trailers. They're called a Beet. They tip a lot more vertical. There we are. Harvester's now just dropping some in another trailer. You just heard it going in. Then we've got our drone flying. That's Ian with his drone. So if any of you follow the farm Facebook page, Ian puts lots of drone footage on that. That's the elevator that carries the beet up to the tank. Nala, here. Yeah, you can see soil sticking to the tyres a lot at the minute. But you've seen from other videos, it crabs as it's going down the field. It means then that the wheels aren't all in line with each other, so it's doing less damage. So, good friend Jim's just called in to see me. Jim works for King's Crops.
Yeah, that's right.
Which are owned by Frontier.
Yeah.
And Jim's helping us with our countryside stewardship. Now, all of you know that we're really keen on wildlife and protecting the environment here. The agreement we had was an entry-level scheme in the old system. That comes to a finish at the end of this year, and the new scheme starts on January the 1st. So Jim's helping us with that. So Jim, this new scheme, it's not called entry-level stewardship, is it?
Nope. So
what is it now?
You've now got a countryside stewardship agreement, and it's an arable farming wildlife offer. So it starts on the 1st of January. We've got everything mapped for you. Everything's passed and approved. We've got all signed off. So yeah, we're all ready to go.
So what we'll do then, Jim will come back in January and we'll go through this in more detail because it's quite interesting. But just as well what we're looking at, Jim's just mentioned about the SFI, which is the Sustainable Farming Incentive. This is one of the new schemes that DEFRA we've all got to go. We haven't got to go in, but we're going to go into it. There's different standards at the minute. The first standard we're going to go into to get, was it £22 a hectare?
Yeah, 22 a hectare.
And there's 4 things we've got to do to get that.
Yeah, so you're going to go into the arable and horticultural soil standard, and you're going to go in at introductory level. And the key things you've got to do is produce a soil management plan,
which we've already got from Red Tractor.
You just need to double check that it does cover everything, but it'll be more or less be there. You then got to sample all your fields for soil organic matter. And as ever, you've landed right on your feet because you've done that already.
We've done that already, yeah.
So not everybody will have done that, but for you that counts.
Yeah.
And the samples can have been taken within the last 5 years.
Okay, right.
So anybody who's done it, if you've got samples up to 5 years old, that counts.
Yeah.
Then you have to have 70% of your land has to have a green cover through the winter, and that green cover can be autumn crops, so oilseed rape, wheat, barley, any winter crop. You've got no more than 30% of spring cropping.
No,
so
that's fine.
With that one. And then the final one is you have to add organic matter to each field once in the 3 years of the agreement.
So it could be crew yard manure, sewage sludge, straw.
Chopped straw. It can even be legumes in a rotation. It can be temporary grass in a rotation as well.
Well, we're fine with that with the straw we add in and things. So that can get us the 22. To go to the next standard, which is £40 a hectare, we need cover crops.
Yep, so 20% of the farm would have to be cover crops.
Yeah.
We've just sort of worked through those numbers for you, and it doesn't come to 20%. And I'd always say to people, don't change how you farm just to get it. So on your type of land, it's not going to be worth trying to increase the cover crop area.
And this is where viewers will have noticed that with the cover crops we've had over the last few years, and we're constantly doing lots of trials with them, we actually get a loss. Where we have cover crops and direct drilling, we get a negative return compared to our conventional system. So at the minute, we won't be going into that standard.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. It's horses for courses for different farms and different soil types. There are some people I'm working with where that's worked an absolute treat. It sits with what they're already doing, it works. So yeah, for you, it's the £22, and like we've said earlier when we were just working it through, lots of people have said it's not worth it. My view is you're doing nearly all of that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Don't turn it down. And 70% of farms went into ELS for £30 a hectare.
Yeah.
And you had to do more than we're doing in this. So, I'm not going to get into the politics of what works and doesn't. For me, it's straightforward, and I can come back in January. We can map that for you, what you've decided to do, We can create pseudo evidence layer like the
Well,
one we've got for this
we'll
one.
just have a brief look, 1 minute look at this system and what we're doing, and then we'll say in January we'll have a better look. But we'll just have a quick look now at what Jim's got on the laptop. Just explain in about a minute, please, what we're looking at here.
So this is your stewardship agreement mapped, and it's mapped on the soil environment manager.
And when you say soil, that's SOYL.
SOYL, yeah.
Which is a frontier.
Yeah, it's our frontier mapping tool.
Yeah.
So basically all I've done is I've gone on and I've used this to actually map out your agreement.
Yeah.
So you can see the yellow areas where the cursor's running now.
Yeah.
That's an AB9 winter bird food. These yellow strips, they're your wildflower strips. They're really good wildflower strips that you didn't realise how good they were. You always take some convincing with those. And then the blue ones are your straightforward grass margins.
Yes.
So that's mapped everything. And then there's within the system you can actually use your phone. That's what we're going to do when we come back in January.
Yeah.
And you can go out in the field and take pictures and record all the evidence that you need for your scheme.
Yeah, that's great. Lovely, Jim. Thanks very much.
It's all go here this morning on the frost. Got the beet harvester working. This is Friday morning. See the frost coming out with the tops out the side. Tom's got the drag on here on the RX. We're just dragging it while it's got the frost on to get underneath the solid air. Once it rains, if we don't get it dragged before it rains, then it will really suffer. We won't be able to get on it. But really good conditions for lifting beet here. You can just see how hard it is. Look at that solid. It's gone in. Just a bit tacky underneath there. That's how thick that lump is. But you might wonder, how on earth can we harvest beet when it's so hard as this? Well, the tops actually keep some of the frost off. So just around the edge of the beet, it won't be quite so hard. And there's a lot of pressure you can put on with the disc and the lifting mechanism and the shares of this harvester. So that's why I can get it out of the ground. Another load off to the heap. Wheels are a lot cleaner this morning than they were yesterday afternoon. That trailer load just tipping up. That's a great sunrise picture. Yeah, so I'm just walking on now the area that they've just lifted here, and it's ever so hard there still, which is good, but it's getting the beet out the ground as Nala is showing us. That's where one of the rows of sugar beet is. You can just see down there there's none in the ground there. That's good. It's prized them out the ground to treat. See how the frost really bent the tops over and made the tops wilt, but it's good, that is. So this is what I was meaning. You can see about the frost, the tops rather, have just protected from the frost a little bit under there. It is still frozen. It is still, but look at my finger sinking in there. You can see there. So that's why we're able to lift in the frost, because the tops are just keeping the frost off right around the beet. But perfect conditions for this, because I wasn't getting a bit concerned. We'd have to leave this in the ground till probably February time, which I've never done before, but often you can get a good February, but we're not having to do that. We can get it out of the ground, which is fantastic. So by lunchtime today, this field will be finished, which is great. There's Frankie, she loves sugar beet. There we go. And there's Nala having a chew. You see the soil and the debris dropping out from under the turbines there that clean it. The beet going in the tank. There won't be as much soil going in the harvester this morning as there was yesterday after the frost had thawed. Nala thinks this is a game. I'm trying to tidy a bit of sugar beet up, and every time I throw it on the heap, Nala comes and picks it up and brings it back to me, which I don't want. Just going to have a look at Tom with the dragging, see how he's getting on. You can see it's left it very rough. But pulling it up, so if it rains, the rain and water will go through. Yeah, that's doing a really good job. We'll do it again in the frost, maybe. And the frost will work this down as well. We need to get those wheels down next week. You can see the drag's just bouncing from side to side. Yeah, we need to get the wheels down just to stop that and alter the tine arrangement. Shows how good our soils are, all the seagulls around picking the worms up, shows us plenty of organic matter in there. Yeah, there's not a lot else we can do here. You can see it's getting in well underneath, so it will let the water through. Couldn't be luckier with this weather at the minute. Perfect for this beet and dragging this. Really lucky. Have to have a bit of luck in life sometimes. So that's it for another week. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Lots of variable content this week. You can see the sugar beet is now up behind me, and a bit of frost on this side of the heap. This side faces west, and in one way this really ought to go in the factory very soon for the frost, but in another way, I know if it goes in the factory now, there'll be a lot of soil goes in the factory, probably 15%, 20% soil. I think the beet itself, I've chopped it and I think we're okay. If you remember looking at the video halfway through when we were lifting, the soil itself wasn't frozen right around the beet and the tops have just kept the frost off, so I think we're okay, but we'll just have to see. But if we go in now, there'll be a lot of soil. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this update. Please click like, subscribe and come back with any questions and I'll do my best to answer them, and we'll see you next week.